Hey everyone, welcome back. Welcome to the new patch. I've been playing it, it's been really enjoying it. Got a little too addicted to actually playing music, which is kind of sad. But, oh man, so much fun. Can't decide whether I like the bass or the mandolin more. But anyway, I was looking at the Steam charts also, and we haven't seen numbers in New World like this since sort of March, April. So it's just, the game's feeling really, really alive right now, loving it. So if you were thinking of coming back, now is like a really good time. I really need to get back into dueling again. I'm so washed right now. I've had fights this week. I'm just not dodging properly. I'm like all over the place in terms of where I'm hitting. I haven't actually dueled properly for quite a long time, so one of my goals is to really start focusing on dueling again, getting into beast mode, just getting good again, and but I really want to take it to the next level, and then after that I think I might focus on arenas and start getting really, really good at them, and then refocus back on the wars if I can. So this week I did quite a lot of OPRs actually, so I thought for this video I'd go over one of the better OPRs that I recorded and just kind of go over my thinking at the time, and kind of like, yeah, where I'm at, and then just kind of talk during it. So obviously this is the start of the OPR, so we always come to mid first. I always like to go to mid first just to see if we can gain control, because that's kind of when you learn really early on who's got the dominant team, and then if they've got the dominant team, you probably want to go into like backcap mode a little bit. If the teams are really equal or you've got a strong team, then I'll tend to stick with the ball and just try to make sure that we can overpower them. So at the moment we're still kind of fighting it out for middle, and so I'm just trying to kind of clear everybody out of the middle node. So we kind of push them back, but then a whole bunch more of them come pushing in and then outnumber us, and then we eventually get killed in the middle. So this is where we learn that we're actually fighting a stronger team than they. We are the weaker team. So I push up and I see that they're basically rushing down to Star Node, which is the only node that we have. So I kind of engage in this fight knowing that I'm going to die, but I'm just trying to suck as many people onto me as possible. So that means that for every person on me, that there's not someone at Star, and then that enables our team to hopefully wipe them at Star. And then at least we've got one node, right? And then we can maybe gather our forces, because once they lose momentum, if they've lost 10 people in Star and our team wipes them and then they come out, they could potentially come out and wipe these guys. So yeah, I held them up for as long as possible and then I die. So after that, it becomes quite imperative to come down to Star and try to stop their push. You can see some of them are already coming out, but they're kind of quite spread out at this point. So my goal here is to, essentially help our team control Star, because it's the only node we have. Because if we don't do that, that means they're just going to come up and spawn camp us. So just fighting in the node, making sure that they don't get in here, and if they do come in, they get killed. And then sort of defending Star, and then once that's defended, we'll obviously go make a push on Sun. So they're not really doing anything. They're not coming in now anymore. I'd say that's probably because we've wiped a lot of their melee out, and so we start to push out. And so obviously I want to get involved in this to really do a lot of damage. So I'm just trying to stick with the group here, because in this OPR it was before the patch, but it's still going to be the same this patch. You really don't want to be the only person running into a bunch of range, because it's just going to take 3 bow people to shoot you and you'll be dead. So I'm just, at this point, I'm trying to run up, but I'm trying to run up near line of sight, so that if I do start getting shot at by a lot of people, I can at least try to get away. And also just not running up the middle of the road where it's kind of obvious you're running at them, so you become their main target. So I get into a fight here, so I'm just trying to kind of kill these people on the side a little bit. I've been streaming a lot this week on Twitch, which has been quite fun. I don't get on for long, just a couple of hours, but it's just kind of testing the waters to see if I like it. But it's been quite fun, and it's a good way to like see in real time the whole Learn to Play series, I guess. So if you're interested, I'll leave a link to my Twitch channel in the description, so that if any of you want to come along and have a little bit of a chat. I am obviously on a New Zealand evenings, so around 8 to 11 PM New Zealand time. So that's probably the reverse, I'd say, for... I'm not sure what it is for American time, but that's when I'm on. So anyway, you can see that these guys are all starting to... Our enemy team's all starting to push into us, but I'm getting good heals. especially from a teammate. So I am just like trying to make sure that these guys get wiped. And essentially this is good if they're on us, because it means that they're not getting star, which is great. And we do seem to be wiping them. So at this point, we're kind of outnumbering them. We've got a few people in the back. So I kind of make it my goal to really push deep into them, because usually they'll scatter like cockroaches once you start kind of like really pushing into them. And so, yeah, that's what I do. And then the next goal, after kind of scaring them off, is to, because we've essentially wiped out their melee now. This is just their ranged players. So we just sort of scare them backwards, and then hopefully we'll go mid. The problem is sometimes when you do this, our team gets so excited on getting kills that they all just scatter across the map trying to kill these people, and then we could potentially get wiped. So I just make sure that I come around and push into Sun and just hope that people follow me in. So now it's about dominating Sun, but we've already wiped out their melee, so it's a matter of just keeping everybody outside that door there and killing any melee as they try to rush in. So after a while, they're not really pushing in, so I decide to push out and try to attack the people just standing on the outside, just to try to gain some momentum, and then hopefully that will enable us to wipe them and potentially push Moon. The problem when you push out like this, though, is you become quite a lot more vulnerable, obviously, to the range attacks. You can see there, I get hit by a few range attacks, my health just drops suddenly, even though I'm standing in the hills. And so what I'd like to do in that sort of situation is obviously back off a little bit, but get behind your players, because obviously they're good line of sight, right? So if you stand behind them, you can kind of help yourself recover a little bit. But yeah, essentially when you push out like this, you are weakening your team, and their ranged players then kind of have like quite a powerful advantage over you. So, but at the moment there's good heals, so I'm kind of standing in them, just trying to kind of wear down their players, but their players obviously have good heals too, and then that range pressure just ends up wiping me. So by the time I get back to mid, they've already taken star, and then they're doing their second push out against us. And it looks like they've wiped all of our melee, and they're just kind of steaming through our ranged players. So I'm kind of trying to back up a little bit, because at this point I'm just trying to assess the situation. And they just outnumber us so heavily that if I ran in there now, I wouldn't even be able to hold them up. Like, they'd just kill me straight away. So I just back up a little bit, hoping that when our team members are coming back down from their respawn, we can kind of gather some numbers for a bit more of a helpful push. And so I see a couple of team members kind of fighting them on the road, so I decide to push in, and just to see if I can hold them up. I know that I've got a lot of ranged people behind me, so I'm hoping that the heals will come once I dive in, so I can see that I see that I'm standing in that nice little healing circle, so I'm just kind of, like, I keep getting knocked out of it, so I'm trying to stay in it and just keep all these guys on me, and then hope that the range would finish them off, but that doesn't happen. So as I come back, they're still pushing down on star, and I can also notice that one of our teammates, or a couple of our teammates, have sneakily started getting sun. So this means that we can really probably push and do quite a lot of damage to them, because some of their team will inevitably be going back to sun to try to save it. So this is our chance to kind of like outnumber them and bully them back into, well, we already have sun, so bully them back away from star, and hopefully shift the momentum in our favor a little bit. So you can see that they are starting to drift back to sun. Their numbers have definitely dwindled. So now this is just kind of cleanup time, where I'm, you know, XV1ing their guys. But this is honest, like, this is the thing. Like, sometimes, you know, I like to be a bit of the hero, and I'll see like 5 of them clumped up. And I'll just charge in with just me and try to do the big gravel on them and the big sort of maelstrom and get the big damage. But in actual fact, what you're better off doing is looking around and seeing that, okay, we've got 5 of our guys and 2 of theirs, so let's just go and make sure that those 2 guys get finished off. Like, that's sort of a more group play way to think. It's that you know you can kill those 2 people because you've got 5 of our people on it, so it's just a much better strat to go and kind of bully people down like that. And this is exactly what's happening here. Our melee's just steaming into all these guys and just picking them off one by one. So now we come into the fight in the mid, and so this is kind of imperative. They've obviously, the people that came back have kicked our players that were taking it out, but now our team's got a bit of momentum behind it, so we're going to come in and basically, if we can win this, it shifts the momentum in our favor and resets the fight a little bit, or we're going to have to just repeat the process where we get beaten, and then we have to try to defend star again. So this turns into a bit of a slugfest. I'm standing in my heals and just, I'm making sure that I'm standing in those healing circles so that I can just be really, really tanky. I do have shirking fortification on here. This is going to be even more important now the new patches kicked in. So I've put a gravity well on my weapon and a sundering shockwave on my Warhammer. And yeah, so that allowed me to have an extra shirking fortification. So I'm sort of dodging quite a bit to try to make sure I've got that shirking fort buff up. But then of course I'm also making sure I stand on these heals, because if I kind of leave them, that's kind of guaranteed you're going to die, because you can see I'm taking a lot of damage. So we're kind of getting a little bit of the momentum here. But then all of a sudden a whole bunch of reds have just pushed in, and so now the momentum's definitely started to shift in their favour. So again, I'm just trying to make sure I'm in the circles and hoping that our players start to dribble in too, but it doesn't happen, and we end up getting wiped once again. So knowing that we're just not going to beat them, like we've tried a few times, they're a stronger team in a face-to-face battle. Me and my teammate Leos come up to Moon to try to cap that. There's already someone here, which is epic. And we just try to take this, because that then causes... essentially, their Zerg is stronger than ours, but this is going to force them to have to break their Zerg up, because they're going to have to send some people to come back and defend it. And what we like is we're not necessarily even trying to get the node, but if we can get more people of them fighting us than us fighting them, that might weaken their main ball enough that our team might actually win. But on the other hand too, it just creates, we are getting more points right now because we will have Moon and Sun, Moon and Star, so it sort of causes a bit of a conundrum for their ball. But at the moment we're just skirmishing here, trying to get kill all the people as they dribble in as much as we can, control Moon, put pressure on them, and try to get their teammates having to come back. I'm actually not trying to get a lot of kills here. What I'm trying to do, as I said, is just control the node. As a brawler, I'm never going to be able to chase these ranged guys like the bows and the mages and all that kind of stuff. So I don't even bother, because that's not my job. And it's important to really remember what your job is. I'm a bruiser, so I bully people out of nodes. And so that's my role. So I'm just kind of standing around on the outside here while I can, and I'm just bullying people, because if I'm bullying them here, they're not coming into the node. So yeah, my main goal is just to try to control an area, and if they come into the area, I'm going to fuck them up. But I'm not going to go and chasing after a bow person, because I'll never catch them and they'll just whittle me down. So at the moment, I'm just kind of testing the waters and kind of coming out and just trying to stay on them on the outside of the door, so they're not trying to come and fight us in the node. But you can see here that we've built up quite a lot of numbers now, and I'm actually kind of able to effectively stay alive quite well whilst they're all shooting at me. But there's about 6 or 7 players there that now are fighting just us, that aren't in their main bull. So kind of objective achieved at the moment, and you can see that that's worked, because now our team has just capped Sun. So now we've actually 3-capped them, so our whole mission was, I would say, a success, because that was the whole goal behind it. Okay, so I come up and my teammate says, we really need help because none of our teammates are pushing in, so it's just one of those situations where all our ranged are shooting at them outside the door but not actually pushing into the node. So I come in like a fucking Chad, tits out, dick swinging, and just start swinging that axe. And so then that creates like this big momentum where all our guys get a little bit of confidence, start to push in. And so yeah, once again, I'm not actually necessarily trying to get any kills here. I'm just trying to kind of bully them out of the node. As you can see, I'm getting into a bit of a conundrum because now I've got about 15 of their team members on me. And yeah, that was going to be a guaranteed death. So I just kind of sneak out the back and reposition myself to assess the situation. Alright, so once the pressure's kind of off me a little bit, and I have kind of got my health back and my cooldowns back down, I come back in. I come on the left side because obviously I'm seeing this one guy here and our team's outnumbering him. And then I see in the middle our guys are fighting, and that's where all the heals are, so that's where I go. And yeah, you can start to see that they're starting to freak out. And so we're pushing them out of the node, which is our goal. And so yeah, we just kind of clean these guys up. So now, as we're cleaning these guys up, we've really shifted the momentum. Their Zerg's kind of fallen apart, which was the whole point of where we took Moon. And we're just, yeah, we've got the Zerg that's kind of more sticking together. so they've lost all their momentum. So we all clean up this node, but right now we've triple capped them, so we're behind 127 points, but this is going a long way to helping us gain those points back. So at this point I was kind of thinking, wow, we actually might win this, because at this time the team had been bullying us in every fight, but this first, now we're actually bullying them. So with the momentum still going, there's a lot of people still pushing out. I decided to just keep pushing up the road. This was definitely, I don't usually like it when people come and spawn camp people. I just feel like it's really cheesy, and I just think it just sort of ruins the game. But in this situation, because this team was so much stronger than us, and because we just wanted to catch back at those points, I was kind of willing to let those morals drop a little bit, just to make sure that we got the win. So I'm kind of pushing along the side here. Again, I kind of tried to do that, A, because our teammates are there, but B, just because it sort of means that you don't necessarily become the focus of every bow, musket, and mage's fire attacks. Like, if you're the only person running up the road, and they're all heading you, it's hard to stay alive, even if you do have healers behind you. So yeah, once again, as I'm moving up the road and attacking, I'm just making sure that I'm standing in the heels, so that I can, again, be a lot more tanky. And then I just kind of go, kind of like little, you know, from heal spot to heal spot as I move up the road. But I do like to be aggressive and put a lot of pressure on them. So yeah, I'm kind of like leading the charge a little bit. But I think the important thing when you're leading the charge is to lead the charge a little bit, but know that you can get back to your group if you get into trouble, which is what I might think that I'm doing here. Well, actually here, no, I can see that their guys are starting to push into our healers, and if our healers go down, so do I. So I'm always keeping an eye out on our healers to make sure that our healers are safe, because man, I want those sweet heals so I can just stand there and just swing my axe and just grind through people. So you can see that we've got a whole bunch of heals where I am right now. So we're just grinding onto any of those players that push into it, which is awesome. And again, just keeping an eye out to make sure that our healers are well protected. A bunch of damage there, probably from range, so just back up a little bit, just to make sure that I can get my health back up a little bit, and then go in for the kill once more. But you can see that that 3-cap is just ticking along. Now we're like 180 points ahead, and we've pushed them right back to their door. So this momentum, as long as we can keep them skilled as they try to come out the door and stop them from capping us, then yeah, like the game's definitely shifted in our advantage. You can see that some have gone down to the moon and tried to cap them, but I think at this point it's a little bit late. So yeah, I'm just standing in the hills. It's so much fun, like just when you're standing in the hills like this, and people are trying to come in, and you're just swinging your axe the whole time and just slowly grinding through people. It's awesome. But anyway, that was the OPR. Thanks for coming, everybody, and I will see you next week.